Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at KASPA. This is going to be a lower time frame video. A higher time frame video will be linked up above, so check that out if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so in the previous video we were discussing the potential that we are still either within this fifth wave here, or this fifth wave is completed, and what we could have actually had is a very shallow fifth wave, and then we're looking for a deeper retracement in this blue wave 4. Now this would mean that we'd actually see a deeper retracement here towards this 0219 to this 0083 area. Important areas of interest would be this previous fourth wave low here, which would be sitting at this 0098, as well as a potential zone to keep an eye on. Would also be keeping an eye on this channel line, which is sitting directly below us here at this 0257 as a potential target. Now it is possible that this fifth wave is still ongoing, because our common target area we look for a fifth wave is actually still sitting higher up here towards this 0954 to this 0581 area. So now if we are looking at this idea of the fifth wave completed from where we are here, what we'd be saying then is that internally within this structure, what we actually have is that this move has completed in this way, where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually this has all been a fifth wave. Now there's a couple of ways that we can look at this still. If this does look to have a deeper retracement here, where we get this three-wave move here, we get another three-wave move up, and we continue to push down lower, either this can be that bigger fourth wave, or alternatively this could start to become another 1, 2 here, in which case we'd be looking for continuation to the upside after this point. Now common zones that I would be keeping an eye out for here is this 0283 area to this 0239. Now this would be quite an interesting area. This is between the 0.382 and the 50% zone here, and would align with coming back into this previous structure that we've got here. If we do come down deeper, we've obviously got these lower levels here, which could still offer us support, and we do have some target boxes in this zone that I would be keeping an eye out as we move down into this. Now it is also possible, however, that this move could be incomplete and we could still have some continuation. Now we were discussing that possibility that internally here we could have this as 1, 2, 3, this is a fourth wave, and then looking for this fifth wave to the upside still. Now within the blue target box that we can see over here, what we can see is that we've actually come down and we've bounced off this 50%. So now what I want to see is whether this level holds. If we continue to hold this 0322, there's a possibility that we could still actually have this blue fifth wave looking to play out to the upside. We're going to discuss this in a second, and that could potentially look to push us up here towards this 0662 to this 0559. Now invalidation of this would come by crossing this point here of this 0283, so a move down past that would invalidate the idea that this is 1, 2 here, 3 and 4, and then we're looking for this fifth, because we're not allowed to overlap with this wave 1. Now we, like I said, we have actually hit this 50% level here. So there's a couple of ways we can look at this move to the downside, and we're going to go over a few of them now. If this is completed into where this low is, like I said, and we're going to see that move back up, what I would be looking out for is something along these lines. What I'd want to see is that this is actually our wave 1. We're looking for an A, B and a C here, looking to come back down into this typical support zone where we've actually found support temporarily here on this golden pocket at this 0339 to this 0338. So if we do continue to hold this level as a support area, we could potentially look for a move back to the upside here, where we could start this wave 3. Now this could also be a wave C here, where effectively we just have this as 535, in which case our one-to-one target would be there at this 0387. If however this is going to develop into a bigger impulse, what I would be wanting to see off of our current level here is a move up towards this 0422. Now this is viable for as long as we continue to hold this 0321. If we fail to hold this 0321 level, then the probability is that we still have this corrective move to the downside, and it's not completed yet. We're going to go over that in a second, but this is our bullish count here. What we're looking for is the fact that this is 1, this is 2, and then we're going to look for this move to the upside. You could potentially try and argue that internally here there's something like a diagonal, where you would have to say that you have something like this is a diagonal for an A, B, and then this would be our wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, in which case this would complete into this point, and you'd be looking for effectively 1 2 1 2, which would mean that we're developing a bigger impulse here. But I don't think it's as clean, and this move does just count quite nicely as a corrective structure as well. So at the moment, I'm looking for this move to the downside to complete. And if it does complete within this target box area, like I said, we've already come into this golden pocket. 786 is down here at the 0331 and the 0328. This could be quite an interesting zone, looking to sweep some of these lows that we've got in place here before looking for that push to the upside. This would also align with coming down a little bit lower here, because if we look at this move as an A, a B, and a C here, what we could then say is that we've actually come down only towards this 0.618. It is possible to complete at this. This is our minimum requirement, but typically what we like to see is the A wave actually get broken. So the A wave would be down here at this 0331. So if we do start to push down into that 786 territory, I would be keeping an eye on this, because this would align with coming down into some of these other fib levels that we've got here in yellow, which are in relation to the A wave that we've got down here. So going to be watching out for these. Well, into one of that would actually be here at this 0324. It is possible to actually see price move down towards that 1-to-1 and still actually maintain this idea, provided that we don't lose this low. If we lose that low, then effectively this idea of the impulse starts to fall apart. So now we're going to go over some of the other ways of counting this move down, in which case it could be incomplete and we could still have some more downside to come here. So in the previous video, what we were saying is that we need to be careful, because this move over here, even though we can potentially count this as 5 waves, could actually just be a flat correction, and we were looking for the possibility of a continuation down. Now, within this idea here, there's a couple of ways, once again, of looking at this move down here. We could argue that this is W, X, and Y, in which case what we need to be careful of is that there could still be another X wave here looking to form. And so as long as we fail to actually push above this 414 level and get out of this channel, what we could see is just price move up one more time here, where this becomes A, B, and C instead of that 5 wave move, and then we look for continuation down afterwards. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we did have to move up towards this 0.5 area, the 1-to-1 of the move to the downside then would actually push us down towards this 0.275 level. So I'm going to be watching this in the future to see if we actually get the confirmation by price action. Now, we could also argue something along these lines, where what we say is this is W, this is X, and then what we have is that this whole move here is actually starting to get a bit more complicated. So if we come in a bit closer here, what we can see is that we have the yellow count here, this W, X, and Y. Now, the 1-to-1 of this has actually been met already over here. So we need to be careful, because this could actually be W, X, Y, and we complete into this high, and then we just continue to break down from this current location. Alternatively, what we could have here is that we could also just potentially have this as A, B, and C, and then we will still see a push to the upside afterwards. Now, the reason this would be interesting is actually because this 1-to-1 of this move to the downside here would actually look to push us back into this low. So I will be keeping an eye on that. If we do see price actually look to come back down here and we fail to actually break up here and we look to take this low, I'll be keeping an eye on the idea of a double bottom here, looking to see whether we form something like this before looking for a push back up into the top end of this channel again. So this is going to be looking for this move to get a bit more complex. Now, if we do actually manage to maintain this 0328 level, what we could then see is that this blue internal count here could be playing out, where we're actually already within this Y wave. And what we'd then be looking for would be these blue fib relationships here, where this would actually be our A wave, this would be our B wave, and then what we'd be looking for is basically a 5 wave structure to start to develop to the upside. There's good confluence here with the top of this channel and this 1382 and this 1236, so I would be keeping an eye on that, as well as this zone of this 1-to-1 here, because this could actually align with bringing us back up into some of these highs. So failure to break out of these areas could actually align with that idea of just getting this as a bigger corrective move, and then we'd still look to push down one more time here in this Z wave. Now, if we are looking at this in this way, effectively what we need to be careful of here is that if this completes where we currently are, and this is actually our X wave high over here, what we could be starting to do is form a 3 wave move to the downside from where we currently are. So within the structure of this move to the downside here, as long as we fail to break this high, we need to be very careful that we aren't actually starting to develop this as a Z wave directly down. This X wave comes over here and we're just looking to break down directly. In which case, what I would be looking for as a minimum requirement would be the 0295, and then 121 would actually be down here towards this 0260. So this is the I suppose more bearish scenario here, where we're looking for a deeper retracement, where we could actually look to push down into some of these lower levels. So there is potential here for us to have a breakout, but we need to see whether the price action can actually follow through, or whether we're actually going to see this start to fizzle out here, and whether we see this continuation to the downside starting to actually play out within this. So coming in here and having a look at the daily CPR lines, what we can see is that we are currently underneath our central lines, which is sitting up here towards this 353, this 350, and this 348 as the lower line. Now, if we do see price looking to push back up into these, I would be cautious of the idea of a rejection of these zones, because we haven't actually had an interaction with these yet. So if we do look to push to the upside, we could potentially look at resistance to come in these levels, in which case we could then look for that possibility of continuation to the downside. If we do look to continue to push down directly today, other areas of interest that I have from the CPR lines would be this 332, we have 320, and this 313 as possible downside targets for today. If we do somehow manage to get back above these central lines here, I will be looking for targets above at 357, 369, and this 376, and then finally 388 as possible upside targets for today. Now, moving over and having a look at the weekly pivot points, because we have a new weekly set of pivot points, we can see that these are very tightly spread. Now, when they are so tightly spread like this means that we could start to see some volatility come in. So if we remain below these, we need to be careful of the potential to see price come back down here towards this 321, which would align quite nicely with that idea of this being A, B, and C, and getting another push down here in line with that idea of that double bottom. So I would be keeping an eye on that if we see price continuing on down. If we do see price starting to break down deeper throughout this week, we have targets here at this 297 and this 273 as potential downside targets. If we see price starting to break back above these central CPR lines here at this 345 level, what we could then see is price could then actually be gravitated to the upside here, in which case targets would become this 370, 394, and this 418 as a potential target for this week. Now, moving over here and having a look at the monthly CPR lines, what we can see is that we actually came back down into these central lines that we were talking about in the previous month. Now, we have actually printed higher CPR lines here, and we are currently below these. So this is a bearish sign at the moment. As long as we are below these central CPR lines, there can be resistance on the way up here. 364, 392, and 420 are potential areas I'll be watching for resistance if we start to move to the upside here. Now, if we continue to remain below these and we start to see that sell-off taking place, what we could actually see is a move down towards this 265 as the S1 target. Other targets to the downside would be this 194, and then we have a S3 target down here at the 0068. Now, we don't always have to meet these targets. They are just potential pivot points within the market. If we were going to see this continue to trend to the upside here, I wouldn't really want to see us lose this S1 line here, which is sitting at this 265. Now, if we do, however, start to break back above these central lines and start to find support, what we could see is a retest of this R1 line, which is sitting at this 0464, which would also align with coming back up into some of these highs. If we do manage to clear this zone, other targets for this month would be 589 and the 660. So I'm going to be watching these zones to see how we react. If we do start to get that impulsive structure developing to the upside, this could align with the idea of coming back into these lines and seeing some interaction. Like I said, what we could see here is that this could become A, B, and C, in which case we could see a retest of the central line towards the zone of this 392. If, however, we are going to see this as an impulse developing, what we could see is that this could become 1, 2, we see a bigger third wave, which looks to push us up into the top end of this line, and we could actually see our fourth wave find support here at this 392 before getting another push to the upside over the period of this month. So going to be watching these different levels and seeing which of the accounts starts to validate itself. Like I said, we do have potential for a breakout from here, but we need to see whether, you know, we can continue to hold the support zone, and we need to start to see some nice clean structure to the upside, looking to hit those impulsive targets for more confirmation. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.